I would ask every single Husker fan that's going to be at the game to be as loud and as crazy and as disruptive as they can be, and we're going to try to do the same with how we play and how I call the game. But we need every bit of help we can get.
Butler on Tuesday, and man, does this one just feel different. Happy game day and welcome to the Limited Sports Preview Show as Nebraska is set to take on USC under the lights of Memorial Stadium. I'm Trey Marler, joined as always by Justice Rhodey and Brady Alderson. Today on the show we'll have breakdowns of both the Huskers and the Trojans.
Look at the other Nebraska teams in action this weekend.
And we have the latest news on Matt Rhule's contract extension.
This is the Unlimited Sports Preview Show on Nebraska Nightly. On Thursday, Nebraska Athletics announced a contract extension to keep Matt Rhule at Nebraska for the foreseeable future. And Arden Lockheim joins us in the studio with the details.
A massive sigh of relief for Husker fans following that head coach announcement today. It comes at a time when rumors were swirling about Rhule's future at Nebraska, given the newly vacated Penn State head coaching job. Rhule's status as a Nittany Lion alum and his close relationship with AD Pat Kraft looked like a likely man for the job. Nevertheless, the 2-year extension takes Rhule's contract through 2032. While exact information on the contract has not been released to public records, the big number was the increase in Rhule's buyout from $5 million to $15 million. This is a huge agreement for the Huskers and gives the team stability and consistency in the ever-changing landscape of collegiate athletics. Rhule spoke to the media shortly after the announcement, emphasizing how he wants this decision to indicate to everyone that Nebraska is the place to be.
We've wanted to be here and we expect to be here for a long time, and we have much more to do, and we're not pleased with where we are, but we are pleased with the direction we're headed, and I think that's hopefully a message that we can send to all of the recruits, all the players, that this is the place to be.
Back to you guys at the desk for the full preview of the highly anticipated USC game.
Thank you, Arden. Turning the page to Nebraska and USC. This should be an intriguing matchup between two similar teams. USC has a slight edge in the points per game column. Jaden Maeva edging Dylan Raiola in the pass yards column, but Emmett Johnson runs away with the rushing yards. And with the two offense having slightly different styles, the time of possession are only minutes apart. Looking specifically at the Nebraska offense, and guys, the key to this is just keep riding Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, Emmett Johnson, in games where he has at least 20 carries or 100-plus yards rushing, they're 4-0 this season. I think if they stick with him, that's their only path to winning this game.
Yeah, Brady talked about it, the 25-plus carries. Anytime that you can get Emmett Johnson the ball, the key is the offensive balance that Johnson brings, right? Not only is he a running threat, but he's a threat to catch passes out of the backfield, and especially with the diversity of talent that Nebraska has catching the football, when you can add a reliable set of hands out of the backfield, it just allows for another element of the offense to be opened up and to space the defense horizontally, and now you can get an Isaiah Hunter, Dane Key, Ja'Cory Barney down the field to stretch the defense vertically. If USC has to account for Emmett Johnson, both the rush and the receiving portions of the game, it's going to be really tough for them to stop it when they're getting stretched both horizontally and vertically defensively.
Yeah, speaking of catching passes, one guy that's risen to Dylan Raiola is one of his favorite targets is Isaiah Hunter.
Yeah, and I think for the Huskers, if you want to get Hunter the ball, you can't be taking sacks. Dylan Raiola has been sacked 26 times this season, 27 times this season, 26 times of all of last season, so already over that total. And if you're getting sacked, you can't get the ball to those players. So it's going to have to be the run game that keeps the pass game open, keeps them away from getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, and Isaiah Hunter's, the pro comparison that's thrown out often is Amon-Ra St. Brown. The rare combination of size, speed, and athleticism in such a muscular, compact frame like a 6'1", 205 body can present. He separates off the line incredibly well. He's great with jump ball, winning 50-50 balls and turning them more into 70-30, 80-20 type of contested catches. And they also do an incredible job of getting him the ball in space so that he can use his flat-out flying speed to get open down the field and make guys miss, and he's incredible after the catch. Guys, that's really where he makes his money.
Here's what the offense had to say when they spoke to the media on Tuesday.
This is what Coach Rhule and his staff have prepared us for, is winning in November, December, and January. That's the whole reason why a lot of us came here, was for games like this.
Our guys are fired up for this week, and a lot of them have mentioned to me just like this is why I'm here. And this is one reason why I'm here is for games like this. So we're fired up and ready to go.
I'm excited for it. I know the guys are too, but the process is still the process. Our preparation has to be the best it's ever been. I mean, it's you can't let the game be too big, but big time players play big and big time games.
For Nebraska, it seems like when they force turnovers, it really makes this whole thing go.
Yeah, they had 2 turnovers last week. They had 2 games in a row without one. They got those 2 turnovers. They got the win. It made a really big difference.
Yeah, and whenever you're a defense and you can get takeaways, it really helps you because then you're not staying on the field as long, right? You can flip the possession game, give the ball back to your offense. It's a huge momentum swing as well, and anytime that defenses can force turnovers, it makes them incredibly volatile and it makes them, super aggressive. And listen, John Butler talked about being aggressive in the press conference, right? And they're going to go after takeaways. If they can get USC on the back foot and make them trail with a couple of takeaways in this ballgame, it completely flips the momentum, especially in front of a raucous crowd and a nighttime environment. Getting takeaways are not only key for a defense to just maintain that stability and make sure that they don't stay on the field as long, but also to make sure that you keep the crowd engaged and get old Uncle Mo the momentum on your side.
One spot for Nebraska that you really need to see improvement is getting to the quarterback. It seems like as good as the defense has played, they aren't getting that many sacks.
Yeah. Nebraska, out of 134 teams in college football, they rank 128th in sacks with only 12 this season. And they have allowed 7 of their 8 opponents under 160 yards passing. Maiyava's gone over 230 yards passing in every game this season, and he is going to go over that total again if you can't get to the quarterback. You can't give a guy like Maiyava time to throw.
Yeah, especially when USC wants to run with this RPO power run scheme on offense, right? They want to be able to get downhill at your second and third level and make you uncomfortable, stress you that way. So that way the short passing gains on the 7 and 8 yard, the intermediate throws really open up. And I think that's where USC wants to make their money. So especially if you can't get to the quarterback and get them off script, Lincoln Riley is a guy who operates on script very well from a play calling perspective. When you get Lincoln Riley and Jaden Maiyava off script, that's where the happy-go-lucky style comes in, and that's where your defense can capitalize on takeaways. So if they're able to get them off script by getting to the quarterback and forcing them to play backwards instead of forwards in front of the sticks and on script, it's going to lead to a great recipe for success on defense.
Here's what the defense had to say ahead of tonight's game with USC.
It's a huge challenge. It's a great opportunity, though. You either look at things as challenges or threats, and this is a great challenge for us, our young defense, to kind of go and play in a great environment against a great offense.
Oh yeah, it's football weather, man. I mean, this is why we here in Nebraska, man. It's for that cold. That's football weather, and I'm excited for them to come down. You know what I'm saying? Play us. Just put the ball down. Let's play.
I think being in the Big Ten, you're going to go against good competitive teams every week. USC is a talented, very talented team. I think that we are, we are very excited to get the chance to compete with them. But yeah, I think they're a challenge for sure, just like everybody else.
Coming into the season, guys, fans want an upgrade at special teams, and boy, did they get one.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable for the Huskers this season. They're top 10 in a plethora of special teams categories. They had the big kick return last game, and for USC, I think this is a place where the Huskers have the advantage, the full advantage. They gave up an 100-yard kick return versus Notre Dame 2 weeks ago. So for USC, you got to limit Nebraska. You can't give them that big special teams play that flips the tide.
And there are holes in USC's punt formation that would allow for Nebraska to be aggressive with their block calls, right? To call in and try to block a punt. Listen, Nebraska's blocked a field goal this year. They've blocked a punt this year. They've returned a kickoff for a touchdown. The only thing that's missing to complete the whole cycle is getting a punt return for a touchdown. And I think with the dynamism that a guy like Ja'Cory Barney can bring you in the punt return game, if they can set up blocks and just make sure that they stay penalty-free on the return, I think that not only do they have a great chance to block a punt, but also maybe return a punt for a touchdown. I think Mike Eckler and the special teams unit is going to have a big impact on how the trajectory of tonight's game goes.
Backtracking to last week, wasn't the prettiest performance for Nebraska, but a big-time Big Ten win.
Yeah, great job for Nebraska. Like we've seen a lot this season, they get a big lead in the second half, and then they let the team storm right back, and we've seen them each time regain the lead. We've seen great final play drives. We saw 4 for 4 on third down for the Huskers against Northwestern. So I'd like to see if the Huskers get a lead in this one, try and keep it. Obviously they're never trying to let it go, but they have let those leads slip.
Listen, and the theme is gritty, not pretty, right? It doesn't have to be a dominant win where you win by 2 or 3 possessions and the fans go away happy. Sometimes in the Big Ten, you play really competent football teams, consistent football teams that put together a 75% performance week in and week out. And Northwestern, very competent football team. They play complementary football, working defense to offense with a ground game that was spectacular in the past 4 weeks leading up to that game, and a pass rush that had a propensity for getting into the backfield and making life miserable for opposing quarterbacks. They were able to keep that balance. Dylan Raiola only took 1 sack last week. That's a major improvement from what he's taken over the past couple weeks in Big Ten play. If they can keep that consistency up, listen, it's a gritty, not pretty, but they can carry that game plan over. Rely on the ground game, get the defense falling backwards, and then hit them in the intermediate and short passes, balls in play like Dana Holgorsen likes to talk about. Get it to your athletes in space and allow them to run and make plays after the catch. That's where Nebraska's lived this year, and it's a great recipe for success, and they showed that in a gritty, not pretty win against Northwestern last Saturday.
Coming up after the break, we introduce you to the USC Trojans. But first, this week's edition of Guess That Husker.
The need for blood never stops. And at the Nebraska Community Blood Bank, your blood could help save lives. Right now, only 7% of the population donates blood. But imagine if there were more.
We're sitting at below a 7-day level of supply of all blood types across the board. So every blood type is important, and we need all donors of all types to come in and donate right now.
At the Nebraska Community Blood Bank, they believe that all types make a strong blood supply.
Social media is a daily part of many college students' lives, something we've become used to. Studies show that taking regular breaks from social media reduces stress and improves mental health. Too much screen time has been proven to increase anxiety, while stepping away helps you reconnect with the world around you. Take a break. Protect your mental health.
Many of the brands you love don't love animals like you do. Look at the labels of products you use for a bunny logo signifying they don't lab test on animals. Check the label for those who aren't able. Start making the shift by visiting Cruelty Free Kitty.
Welcome back inside the studio, and congratulations to everyone who guessed Andrew Marshall. And he's a player that Nebraska will really need on defense against a really good USC team, guys.
One of the best offenses in the country. They're top 5 in many categories. Yards per game, they're first in passing yards per game as well. It's going to be a tough test for this Husker defense.
Yeah, just like you talked about, the #1 passing offense in the country. Lincoln Riley finally has balance. His best teams at Oklahoma were when he was able to lead the country in yards per attempt on rushing plays. So now he has that balance. He's leading the country in that statistic. He's had a trio backs, Wayman Jordan, Eli Sanders, and now King Miller, the walk-on, who's going to take the lion's share of the carries tonight. He's got a balanced offensive attack, and he's able to marry that with the passing game to create a complete offensive attack that's able to expose a lot of defenses.
Here's what Lincoln Riley had to say ahead of the matchup with the Huskers.
We've put ourselves in a cool position, and things can get pretty fun from here if you really get on a run. And this team is capable of that, and they know it. We know it, and so I think it's just for us more nothing magical to it. I think it's just more our mentality as a program right now that, all right, you've worked hard, you've put yourself in a pretty cool position. Like let's go take advantage of it.
Get into some of the USC matchup graphics, and I think this is very fascinating, guys. First graphic we didn't get into, the big matchup on the perimeter, Makai Lemon versus Sierra Wright. I think that this is the matchup that really decides what happens on the perimeter. Makai Lemon comes into the game with 758 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns. He's the 5th leading receiver in the country. USC very much targets him on the outside. Sierra Wright, midseason second-team All-American, is a guy who likely has NFL, prospects when you look at a guy who could potentially go on day 2 of the NFL draft. This is a fascinating matchup. I think it's a number 1 versus a number 1 on the outside. Now we flip it to the other side of the field, Jacoby Lane and Andrew Marshall. Lane's got exceptional size at the wide receiver position, 6'4", 210-pound receiver. He's going up against Andrew Marshall, who's not small in and of himself, 6'2", 210 pounds. He's a guy who can be physical on the boundary, and Lane's a guy who is big, uses his body to box out opposing defensive backs like a basketball player, uses his frame correctly, and is able to really take that and box out opposing defensive backs. I think that he's a smart possession receiver. Andrew Marshall's a very physical corner, experienced guy going up against an underclassman in Jacoby Lane. This is another fascinating matchup. And guys, I think a sneaky one that we have to look out for is right in the line of scrimmage. Walker Lyons / Lake McCree against Javen Wright. Listen, the USC will use 2 tight ends, right? Lake McCree's a redshirt senior. Walker Lyons is a guy who's been in the media for other things, but he's a guy who's an exceptional pass catcher. Both guys 6'4", 245, 250 pounds respectively. Javen Wright's a guy with exceptional size, got a pick last week against Preston Stone. He's a guy that I look at to try to challenge these tight ends off the line of scrimmage, be physical, play in coverage, and do a good job in zone and also keeping them out of the soft areas, because USC likes to exploit soft areas of zone coverage. And if Nebraska's going to go man-to-man, he's got to be the guy who matches up against the tight end or the back out of the backfield. That's a key matchup for me as we look at this USC versus Nebraska offense-defense translated matchup.
And defensively, Nebraska and USC with both first-year defensive coordinators.
Yeah, for the Huskers, they've gotten a lot out of John Butler. Those 2 turnovers were really big last week. And for USC, their defensive coordinator, they haven't been great as of lately. They were giving up 7 yards per carry against Notre Dame 2 weeks ago, so they're going to need to try and shut down Emmett Johnson a lot better than they shut down those Notre Dame running backs.
But I think that the thing that you look at when you talk about D'Anton Lynn, who came over from UCLA last year, he has weaponized this pass rush to be a real threat defensively for the Trojans. And he's got a stable of guys who can really get after the quarterback. Braylon Shelby, Cameron Crawford, and Devin Tompkins right in the middle. Those are the 3 guys, all 6'5 plus, 265 to 290. They range in between the weight areas. These are guys who are specialists in pass rush. They get after the quarterback. They create havoc. And then Eric Gentry is a guy I look at from the linebacker position as an edge guy. Also 3 sacks on the year, but 3 forced fumbles. He's a guy who loves to use the Charles Tillman peanut punch, wraps the fist up, tries to get at the football and make plays on the ball. He's a guy who wants to create havoc plays, and that's what D'Anton Lynn's defense is based off of, guys. If they can get those havoc plays, I think that's where USC can really make their money against Nebraska. If you force Dylan Raiola and co. to fall into a bad pattern offensively, get them behind the sticks, get them off the field, I think that's what keeps USC's offense on script conversely.
And leading the way for both clubs is these highly touted quarterbacks.
Yeah, and for Maiava, he leads the nation in yards per attempt. He's the only quarterback in the nation who has at least 10 yards per attempt, and it's a great passing attack for USC, and Maiava has been unbelievable. Those 4 interceptions, it doesn't look like a lot, but all 4 of them have come in the last 3 games, including 2 weeks ago against Notre Dame.
Yeah, and when you look at what Maiava does, USC's offense is a very depth of target offense, right? The power run attack that pushes the defense back, and then they hit you in the short to intermediate game and let the yards after the catch do the work. Maiava, 68.1% completion percentage, a 92 QBR, a 173.5 passer rating. He propels this offense, right? They're scoring 42 points per game, 530 yards in total. They're the best passing offense in the country. They're a top 5 scoring offense, and they're best total offense in the country. It's because of the development of Jaden Maiava. Listen, he was a runner last year. He was happy-go-lucky. He was a guy who wanted to scramble and make plays with his legs. This year, Lincoln Riley's gotten to him. He's settled him down in the pocket. He's been able to make sure that he goes through his progressions, reads their RPO system like a pro quarterback would do, and he's really made great strides passing, not only in the intermediate to short game, but also on the deep balls. He's shown great touch there. The problem is when you speed him up, he's not that great against the blitz. He's not that great against the pressure in general, but really against the blitz is where he's been able to get a little bit more success when he's able to pick apart defenses, quick throws that they scheme behind the level of the 7 rushers, the front 7 that stack up into the box. If you can speed him up, that's really where you get him in trouble. Notre Dame did a great job of that, got him to throw 2 interceptions early, and that's where their offense got off script. So if Maiava is able to stay on script, I think USC stands a great chance in this one. Raiola, he's got to make sure that he gets the ball out in a timely manner. If he's able to do that, Nebraska's going to have great success because they have great athletes on the outside and out of the backfield with Emmett Johnson. If they're able to get those guys involved, get Luke Lindenmeyer the ball, the yards after catch will come. He's just got to make sure that he sprays it around and keeps everything honest pre and post snap.
Yeah, USC with the #1 passing offense in the country. Nebraska with the #2 passing defense in the country. Could be a fun cat and mouse game between Lincoln Riley and John Butler tonight inside Memorial Stadium. Well, coming up after the break, we go around the corner, look at the other top Nebraska teams in action this weekend.
Okay, so how about this much?
I don't know.
Well, how about this much?
I don't know.
How about,
Actually, I don't know.
okay, maybe this much?
I don't know.
The very tip of your pencil, a fraction of a raindrop, 3 grains of salt. That's how much it takes for a dose of fentanyl to become lethal. Learn more at realdealonfentanyl.com.
Done for the day?
Yeah, just kind of maxed out on people.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
You know, thanks for asking. I have been feeling just kind of off lately.
Do you want me to
Concerned about a friend? Just ask and refer them to counseling and psychological services at UNL.
Joined by Bobby Hessling and Emma Baumgart for this week's edition of Around the Corn.
Thanks, Trey. Welcome back to Around the Corn. Bobby Hessling alongside Emma Baumgart. This is the time of year we get to see the crossover between volleyball on the court as the Huskers have entered the weekend with 34 straight sets won. They have not dropped a set since the 16th of September.
Yeah, they got back-to-back sweeps this past weekend, taking down Northwestern and Michigan State. Andy Jackson finished with 13 kills and 9 blocks over the weekend, while Harper Murray had 17 kills over the 6 sets. This is a big weekend for Nebraska as they face Wisconsin in Madison on Friday night, a team the Huskers did not drop a set to all last season. Nebraska will then host Oregon at Devaney on Sunday. The Huskers spoke about Wisconsin earlier this week.
I mean, it's always a fun week, I think, especially just kind of how the season's been going for both of us. We're both really excited, and you can tell we're hungry to just play some super fun competition, and not that there hasn't been this other competition, but this is just a rivalry match. We all know that comes with it, and it'll be a fun one.
Everything. So they have one of the best players in the country on the left, one of the best middles. I think they're starting to figure it out with their new setter, and I know they're definitely going to be motivated to beat us.
Wisconsin will always be a tough place to play, especially in the Wisconsin Fieldhouse. Speaking of tough places to play, Pinnacle Bank Arena is one of those places. Husker men's basketball played their second exhibition over Midland, grabbing a 91-50 victory. 11 Huskers played. double-digit minutes. Huskers were led by Braden Frager, who had 21 on 6 of 12 from 3, while Iowa transfer Price Sanford added 18 of his own.
I think we learned a lot in both of those. Starting with the BYU game, it showed that we can compete with anybody in the country. So, two really good opportunities and good games for us to get out in front of our fans, and we're excited to get rolling on Monday.
Huskers open up the regular season on Monday night at 7 p.m. against West Georgia.
Yeah, and they won't be the only Husker basketball team tipping off Monday. Earlier in the day, Husker women's basketball will start off their season at PBA as they host Northwestern State. They had their exhibition last Friday against Mount Marty. Nebraska only showed 9 players, but sophomore forward Amaya Grove led all scorers with 26 points. Callan Hake added 22 of her own, and the Huskers finished with 5 scores in the double figures, grabbing a 104-40 victory.
Can't believe that it's already November and we're in the crossover season with football, basketball, volleyball is coming to an end. The winter sports are all starting up. It's going to be a busy next couple of weeks here in Lincoln.
It is, yeah.
Well, that'll do it for us on Around the Corn. Trey, Justice, and Brady, back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Bobby and Emma. God, it's hard to believe basketball season is upon us. Justice, what did you see in those 2 exhibitions?
Yeah, I think from Fred Hoiberg, you saw the incredible pace that they played with, right? It's a team that can shoot it all over the floor, guys. I mean, it looks like a sniper team out there. Everybody can shoot it. They got 5 guys who can space it, great positional size, multiple positional profiles in the forward room. And this is a team that's going to be positionally sound defensively. I think that getting Rink Mass back opens up a lot for you, not only offensively, but defensively as well. And Berkay Buchtenjel transforming his body, slimming down 20 pounds. He looks like a completely transformed player. Looks like more of the guy that we saw coming out of the international scene onto UCLA. He looks completely transformed, looks dynamic defensively. They've got guards who can shoot it, great point guard play, center positions, and guys in the forward room that can shoot it. It's going to be an exciting team to watch and a team that you can't count out on any given night.
Back on the gridiron, here's a look at the full Big Ten slate. Starting at the top of the hour, Penn State wraps up their nightmare of a month by visiting the top-ranked Buckeyes, while Rutgers heads to Champaign to face off with Illinois. Kurt Signet and the Indiana Hoosiers play Maryland. Michigan State and Minnesota face off in Minneapolis. And in the nightcap, joining our game here in Lincoln, Purdue visits Michigan. Coming up after the break, we are joined by KRNU Sports Director Danny Berg and Christopher Sullivan-Diaz for the KRNU Keys to the Game.
Nearly 1 in 3 Husker students struggle with food insecurity. Husker Pantry addresses food insecurity and a welcoming space by providing free food and personal items to UNL students in need. Due to high demand, the pantry often runs out of essential items. Help keep the pantry stocked by donating the most needed items. From canned food to personal items and cleaning supplies, you can make a difference by donating. Learn how to donate by visiting pantry.unl.edu.
Of the 40 million tons of plastic waste generated in the U.S. in 2021, only 5%, or 2 million tons, was recycled. Make sure you do your part in keeping Anderson Hall clean. For more information on recycling statistics, visit epa.gov today.
Tonight on Nebraska Nightly.
Welcome back to the Unlimited Sports Preview Show. I'm Danny Berg, joined alongside Christopher Sullivan Diaz, Justice and Brady over at the desk. We'll have the call of tonight's game on 90.3 KRNU and KRNU2. Beck Frazier, Bobby Schneider, Christopher, and Colin Dahlvand will have the pregame, postgame, and halftime show for you. But today we are doing the KRNU keys to the game. And Christopher, I think we have three very simple keys that we have to look at today. The first one for Nebraska is to win the special teams, and they really need to make a big play on special teams.
Absolutely. I mean, the go-to guy on special teams the last few weeks has been Kenneth Williams. We had that great play from him in Maryland where he got on scholarship right after the game after getting an 85-yard punt return touchdown. But we saw that kickoff return touchdown as well against Northwestern. So you're seeing a lot of great plays from him. But special teams is going to be the key in this game for Nebraska, considering that if they're going to get a defensive stop and they're going to get those punt return yards, it's going to have to come in those home run plays.
Yeah, and then the second thing really is to keep this offense diverse and as mobile as possible. We saw in last week's game against Northwestern, Dylan Raiola just didn't look as comfortable as he normally did. He was able to put the hero cape on and made Nebraska look good there at the very end of the game, but you're not going to win a shootout against USC. Nebraska, we've seen this year, just cannot win the shootout game. So you really want to be able to ground and pound with Emmett Johnson as much as you can.
Absolutely. I mean, the ground game has been pretty rewarding for Nebraska, considering that Emmett Johnson has made his case as one of the best running backs in the entire nation. You're going to be seeing him a lot, not only just taking the ball and running it, but he is a threat to receive out of the backfield.
And then lastly, with all the noise this week, you had the blackout game. We saw on Thursday that the end zones and the annex at midfield are getting painted black. There's black towels going to be handed out to the students section tonight. But the game is still going to be 60 minutes long. The field is still 100 yards, and there's still a football game being played.
I mean, you said it. I mean, the excitement around this game, around the entire campus, around the state of Nebraska is huge. I've never seen more people excited about black end zones in my life. You've got to imagine that there's also some kind of peace of mind that comes with rules extension this week.
That's going to do it for our KRNU Keys to the Game. Make sure you tune in with Justice and Brady at 6:30 tonight for kickoff. Let's send it back to the desk with Justice, Brady, and Trey.
Thank you, Danny. Final segment here, Justice. Who's going to be key for Nebraska to find success tonight?
You know, I don't actually think that it's anybody on the field. I think it comes down to Dana Holgorsen committing to an offensive identity. I think he has to commit to calling run plays, giving Dylan Raiola a selection of plays that will allow him to succeed at the line of scrimmage, allow your guys to have confidence early, give him short completions, free access throws, allow Luke Lindenmeyer to be built into the game as a zone buster. Listen, use Heinrich Harburg, Carter Nelson, whoever you need, Caden Echternock, Isaiah Mosey, whoever you need to bring those trap blocks on some of your inside runs, bring those guys in. And then just make sure that your team has confidence. I think Dana Holgorsen and committing to an offensive identity as the play caller is going to be the key for Nebraska, because if he abandons the run too early, I think USC is going to have an easy time trying to stop Nebraska.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think getting Emmett Johnson going is what they need to do. When he has 20-plus carries, 100-plus yards, Nebraska's undefeated in those games this season, and that's because when the run game is going, it complements the pass game. You can't throw the ball if you're always getting sacked, and when Nebraska runs the ball well, they don't get sacked. So if they can get the run game going, I think Nebraska has a chance to pull this one out.
Danny and Christopher Sullivan Diaz touched on over in KRNU Keys to the Game. So much around tonight. It's going to be a blackout, black end zone. Saw the black flags around the stadium that they put up earlier in the week. What kind of impact might this environment have on the game tonight?
They're really buying into the blackout theme. The game notes are black. They've made all the logos black on social media. They're playing Paint It Black on all their videos over the song. The stadium is now black, and they want all the fans wearing black. They want this to be a big tradition, almost like the whiteout we see at Penn State, but the blackout here in Lincoln.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a raucous environment. Listen, when was the last time that Nebraska played a game of consequence and meaning in the month of November? And especially against a ranked opponent, when you're 0-28 going into your game against USC against ranked opponents, this is going to mean so much more than just one game in November for the fans of Nebraska. I think that environment's going to be turned to a T. I don't know if it's going to be the level of hatred and vitriol that we saw against Colorado, but I do think that they will have something special stored up for those West Coast boys coming in.
Brady's score prediction for tonight.
First time I'm going to take a non-Nebraska team this year. I got USC 31-27. I think there is a path to victory for Nebraska, and that's on the back of Emmett Johnson.
Yeah, I'd have to agree and concur with Brady here. I think that the talent gap between USC and Nebraska is too great. I know USC's road record is particularly putrid. Their record 2 time zones away doesn't, inspire any confidence in any manner. But I do think that at the end of the day, it's Lincoln Riley and it's 2 weeks to prepare for the second best passing defense in the country. That doesn't give me a ton of confidence in what John Butler can do. I think USC wins this one narrowly, 31-28. Nebraska covers in the end.
Thank you for tuning into this week's edition of the Inland Sports Preview Show. For Justice Rhodey, Brady Alderson, our director, Logan Eby, and his entire team working behind the scenes to make this whole thing go, I'm Trey Marler. Enjoy your college football Saturday.